B-Marsh Boxing. Take my mask off a little bit so y'all can hear me. B-Marsh Boxing, and I'm back at it with another boxing video. So Teddy Atlas. Even Teddy Atlas is tired of seeing the same old cherry picking that he feels Canelo's been doing for the last 3 years. You know, it's not hating or anything. When people are tired of seeing Canelo cherry picking and fighting guys that we don't want to see. Now look, he had to fight the man Caleb Plant due to Caleb Plant having the last piece of the puzzle to become undisputed. No shame in this game. But a lot of people, including myself, don't like how he fought fellas like Avni Yildirim for a WBC vacant title. That was whack, man. That was just as bad as when Canelo fought fellas like Josecito Lopez or Matthew Hatton for a vacant WBC belt at 154. That was bad, man. You know, Avni Yildirim is not good, man. Avni Yildirim had been knocked out by fellas like Chris Eubank Jr. early. You know what I mean? He gave a good effort versus, what's his name? Anthony the Dog Durrell. But that was his title shot right there. You know what I mean? But nevertheless, the man Teddy Atlas, he got some things to say. You know what I mean? And he doesn't want to see the man Canelo fighting any more of the guys that he's been fighting for the last 3 years. You know what I mean? He thinks fellas like the Rocky Feldings, Avni Yildirims, Callum Smiths, these guys are overmatched opponents for Canelo, you know what I mean? And Atlas feels that, you know, Teddy Atlas said his intelligence has been insulted watching Canelo fight these champions at 168. And these are weak guys that he's been fighting, you know what I mean? Now, look, man, a lot of people go to any polls on this YouTube shit and see when they ask, who do y'all want to see Canelo fight next? It's an overwhelming majority of people who want to see David Benavidez versus Canelo next. Young, hungry fighter in demand, David Benavidez, undefeated, two-time WBC champion. You know, it's ironic, you know, that the man now Canelo holds the belt that the man David Benavidez had, albeit David Benavidez lost it on the scales. Then why don't you go ahead and fight that man? You know what I mean? He's undefeated. Or was that, you know, because really and truly Canelo had no aspirations of even becoming undisputed at 168 up until the man David Benavidez lost his title. Then he was all gun-ho and ready to go for the gusto to get all the straps against, you know, the Callum Smiths, Avni Yildirims, you know, them European fighters, you know what I mean? And what's his name? Where'd he get a WBO strap from? Who had the WBO at 168? The division's so weak, man. I even forgot who held that strap. I'm usually good at these things. Who held the WBO? Shit, man, it's not ringing a bell. What's up with you, Mike 104? What's the deal, my G? Mike 104 says these 168 champs aren't the caliber of Super 6 Ward. Absolutely. Hey, Mike 104, man, help me refresh my memory. Who had the WBO strap in order for Canelo to get it to become undisputed? IBF came from Caleb Plant. WBA came from Callum Smith. WBC came a vacant title versus Avni Yildirim. Please help me refresh my memory. Mike 104 says the timing is just perfect for Canelo to be undisputed. All beatable guys had belts. All massive underdogs. Absolutely. Absolutely. Very. Look, man, the best fighter Caleb Plant had ever fought was whether it was Jose Uzcategui or the only former world champion that the man Caleb Plant had ever beat was Caleb Truex, you know what I mean? You check it, so, you know, David Benavidez has been that dude in that division. Remember when David Benavidez lost his strap on the scales? The WBC quickly made that man a 175-pounder. I mean, they tried to get him up out the division. You know, the WBC also plays a role in what you call it, in protecting Canelo, and that's a fact for sure. I mean, I believe that's why they even let him the clenbuterol pass for Mexican fighters, because they know Canelo might. Oh, WBO came from just read my memory. It came from what's the guy's name? Billy Joe Saunders. That's actually the last fight he was in before this last weekend. You know what I mean? When he fought Caleb Plant. You know? Yeah. Billy Joe Saunders had that strap. You know, the man Caleb Plant. What I know about him, you know, he's not a big puncher. You know what I mean? Came into the fight with like 21-0 with 12 KOs. And that's cool. You don't have to be a big puncher to have a big marquee fight. You know what I mean? But what mostly concerned me about the man Caleb Smith is Caleb Plant is his stamina. You know, his stamina was exposed versus Jose Uzcategui. You know what I mean? Even though he won the fight, if it wasn't for the knockdowns, the 2 knockdowns, he, in my opinion, he would have not won that fight on points. You know what I mean? You know, the man Teddy Atlas, he wanted to see the man Canelo, who's 57-1 with 2 draws and 39 KOs. He want to see them fellas fight David Benavidez, Arthur Beterbiev, Dimitri Bivol, Jamal Charlo, and Joe Smith Jr. Now, I believe he beats Joe Smith Jr. and Jamal Charlo. And I believe Jamal Charlo is just a guy who's enjoying being undefeated, fighting nobodies. It's crazy because I remember in 2013, 2014, he was actually the better looking fighter than Jamel Charlo. Now, Jamel Charlo's not that good. I never thought Slim was good. I thought he lost to Gabe Rosado. And I was there in the building live for that at the Washington, D.C. Armory, you know what I mean? You know, he's had other controversial fights, man. I'd have to think about it. I remember when he was getting outboxed by what's that guy's name? John Jackson, you know what I'm saying? Now, Jamal Charlo, I think Canelo beats him. Demetrius Andrade, I don't think Canelo beats him. If Canelo beats him, oh well. I just think that the man, Bubu Andrade, got the skills to pay the bills to beat the man. But, you know, none of these fighters on the man Canelo's radar. You know what I mean? He's not really electing to fight these guys, you know? And possibly don't be surprised next if the man... Look. You know what Canelo's highest payday of his career is, though, right? His biggest payday of his career came this last weekend. He got $40 million guaranteed. Not to mention if he got any live gate paper or or pay-per-view buys. You know what I mean? So $40 million guaranteed. He had to come to PBC to do that. You know what I mean? He already had turned down $40 million guaranteed, no other incentives, just guaranteed to fight the man Bubu Andrade on DAZN. His reason for, you're a horrible fighter. You're a horrible fighter. Get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? That's his reason for not fighting Bubu Andrade, whom he's been ducking since 2013, y'all. Could you believe that shit? I don't gotta make this up. For what? It don't make me sleep better to lie on no man. That's just the plain truth about it. The man been ducking Bubu Andrade since he was his mandatory in 2013, when Bubu Andrade beat fellas like Brian Rose for that WBO strap. Oh, Vanes Martirosyan, excuse me. Vanes Martirosyan. Yeah, I mean, Canelo was his mandatory. He ain't want no smoke with him. But as soon as Bubu Andrade got stripped for inactivity with that WBO 154-pound strap, the man Canelo fought Liam Smith, who had beat John Thompson. Remember? Liam Smith beat John Thompson for that WBO strap. Who the fuck was John Thompson? John Thompson came from that Boxino tournament on ESPN. And I believe he beat Willie Monroe Jr. or had lost to him. I can't remember. One or the other. Beat him or lost to him. But I remember that was the final of that Boxino tournament on ESPN years ago. In, I believe, like 2013, 2014. Okay? Now, that's how the man Liam Smith became a world champion, by beating John Thompson. But remember this. Austin Trout was the #1 mandatory for that strap. He was supposed to be fighting in a title shot with, whether it's Liam Smith or John Thompson, whomever. And that's why the man Austin Trout sued the WBO, because they automatically just took him out the rankings. Now imagine that. It could have possibly been a rematch of Austin Trout versus Canelo for that WBO strap. But the WBO They maneuvered their way, got John Thompson and Liam Smith in there. Liam Smith became the champion. I believe he knocked out John Thompson in 3 rounds. And then he fought Canelo and just got body shots. I mean, he got stopped with the body shots and the counter punching of Canelo, you know. You check it. A lot of people thought the man Canelo lost to not Andrade, to Austin Trout. That's possibly why they took him out the rankings. So Austin Trout can't get a rematch. I remember that fight distinctively. As a matter of fact, it was a knockdown where the man did the stanky leg. Canelo dropped the man Austin Trout. That was the difference on my scorecard. If it wasn't for that knockdown, then I would have had that fight a draw. But the difference was the knockdown, and that's why I had Canelo winning that fight. You know what I mean? So like I said, y'all, don't be surprised if he possibly get his highest payday yet again in his career on PBC. But he's going to be like, you know what? I'm going to go back and fuck with Eddie Hearn over there on DAZN. And let me get Triple G, old-ass Triple G, who ain't been doing nothing, who's just been, you know, doing a whole lot of nothing ever since he came to DAZN. He's stealing money over there. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, that's what's going to happen more than likely. Now, I mean, let me read you some quotes from the man Teddy Atlas. He said, it was a good quote. It was a good performance. This is about Canelo versus, what's his name? Caleb Plant this last week. And he said, quote, it was a good performance, but you have to remember he's fighting guys that are flawed. I don't want to see anymore. I'm not knocking Plant, and I'm glad he got $10 million. I'm not knocking Billy Joe Saunders. He fought a really good fight up to that point, and he did get a broken orbital bone. I get it. These guys weren't going to win the fight because of what I already said, and I don't want to see them. The overmatched opposition that Canelo has been padding his record with. I don't want to see these fighters anymore. And they meaning Team Canelo, and they can keep doing that to complete his unbelievable contract he signed with DAZN for $300 million and $350 million or whatever it is. He's Canelo, cashing these checks for $40 or $50 million. I don't want to see them no more. I don't. I want to see guys with enough talent to have a chance in my mind to say, he's got a chance because he has enough talent, enough ability. And if it's 168, I don't want to see these guys unless it's David Benavidez. And listen, Benavidez isn't the most developed guy in the world, but he at least has talent in one area, power, one area, strength, and one area where I can say, okay, I'll go with it. Even if I don't want to see no more, unless it's maybe Jamal Charlo. And Charlo's not perfect, not close to it. But at least he's got enough talent to where it's a catchweight fight, and Canelo drops down in a catchweight fight to fight him, I look at it because at least they have some talent to where they'll pull me in and I'll say, I'll peek, I'll believe, and I'll take a look. I believe there's a chance. End quote. So you heard it from the man, Teddy Atlas. Teddy Atlas, man, y'all could say he's hating because, you know, Canelo fanboys are the worst. I'm going to tell y'all like this. Ever since I came to this boxing YouTube shit, I haven't gotten any abuse or racism from anybody besides Canelo fans, Teofimo Lopez fans. You know, look, I made a video about Canelo rubbing the man's booty butt cheeks. What's the man's name? Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz pulled down his pants right in front of Canelo with a big-ass Kool-Aid smile so the man Canelo could rub his ass for good luck. Look, where I'm from, men don't do that type of shit, you heard? Real talk, you know what I mean? Now, what did I get in my comment sections? People came and called me all kind of FAGs, called me all kind of FAGGOTs, all kinds of shit. And there's fellas with Hispanic names. And I received this type of abuse last year or earlier this year when I was like, Teofimo Lopez is not undisputed. He needs to fight Devin Haney to complete his aspirations on becoming undisputed. I got all kind of abuse, you know what I mean? It's crazy. Now look, I be flaming up fellas like Tank Davis. I don't like the opponents he fights. But don't nobody come in my comment section and be on some racism shit. You know what I mean? They might be some Tank Davis fanboys. I'm saying. But at the end of the day, that's what I get when I fuck around and do these type of videos. Not even criticizing Canelo, but speaking the goddamn truth. You know what I mean? And I'm tired of this shit, and I ain't gonna stop. I fucking love it too. Fucking love exposing Slim, cause Canelo, man, in my lifetime watching boxing, he's the most overrated, the so-called #1 pound-for-pound fighter I've ever seen, and he'll never be on my #1 pound-for-pound list. You could take it how you want, Joe. I'm trying to tell you, Mo, you could take it how you want. I got Bud Crawford, Alexander Usyk, and Naoya the Monster Inoue ahead of Canelo. And you could take it how you want, you know what I mean? These fellas, first and foremost, ain't none of those three fighters I mentioned drug steroid cheats. Ooh, I know that shit hurt. You don't like to hear that shit, but it's the goddamn truth. You don't like to hear that, but it's the truth, you know what I mean? Bud Crawford, Naoya Inoue, Alexander Usyk ain't no drug cheats. Alexander Usyk, man, was undisputed at cruiserweight and 3 straps already. Just one time took him off Anthony Joshua in spectacular fashion, you know what I mean? And Canelo with the catch weights, the bum-ass fighters, he be fighting like Rocky Feldon, Sergey Kovalev was washed up, Billy Joe Saunders, Callum Smith, Avni Yildirim, Caleb Plant. That's who he's been fighting since 2018. Rocky Feldon, Danny Jacobs. Now, Danny Jacobs was a good fight, even though he fought like a pussy. But for what did y'all expect? You know what I mean? You know, what's his name? Danny Jacobs just ain't a killer. That's just what it comes down to, you know what I mean? He's not a killer. He's the type of guy who wiped Angela Simmons. Wow, I don't know. But yeah, I guess he's not with her no more. You know what I mean? But, you know, I got no problem with Danny Jacobs, but he's not a killer, and I knew he'd fight like a pussy, straight up. I knew Sergey Kovalev would too. When that fight, Sergey Kovalev was a bigger fighter, Canelo coming up in weight, you would have thought Sergey Kovalev was a smaller fighter, you know what I mean? You check it. Avni Yildirim, are you serious? Rocky Fielding, are you serious? Yeah, I've said, you know, now Callum Smith, Billy Joe Saunders, and Caleb Plant, I know Canelo wanted to become undisputed all of a sudden because David Benavidez was nowhere in the picture. Like I said, when David Benavidez got stripped of that 168-pound strap because he lost it on the scales, immediately the WBC made him the #1 contender at 175 pounds. I've never, ever in my life seen David Benavidez campaign or fight anybody at 175. Why did they do that? The WBC's trying to protect this guy. Look, man, I respect Teddy Atlas' opinion more than any Canelo fanboy. You heard? And I got another Canelo stuff to talk about, but I'll probably do that on a whole other video. You know what I mean? You check it. So, you know, the guys we would like to see the man Canelo fight is David Benavidez first and foremost. If he feels brave enough to go to 175 pounds, and I think it's a possibility he could beat the man Arthur Beterbiev. Beterbiev is an aging fighter. You know, he's a very inactive fighter. I seen Beterbiev in his last fight. He looked like ass, even though he stopped the German over there in Russia. You check it. You know what I mean? Dmitry Bivol, very good undefeated fighter from Russia, 175 pounds, WBA champ who nobody wants to fight. If Canelo's brave enough to say, yo, I'll go up there and beat that man, let's see you do it, because nobody wants to fight this kid, you know what I mean? I don't want to see Triple G versus Canelo for a third fight. I thought Canelo won, and I'm not a hater. There's a lot of people who think Canelo, including Teddy Atlas, he thinks Canelo lost both them fights to Triple G. Now, the first fight, I had it a draw, and I won some money. I turned $5 into $105. That ain't no big paper, but I only risked $5, and I got back $100 plus my $5. Good night of boxing. I thought that the fight would be a draw, and I bet on that, and that's what I got. But if anybody should have won that fight, if the pendulum should have swayed any which way, it should have been Triple G to get that W. I had the fight to draw my scorecard, but if anybody was supposed to win that fight, it should have been Triple G, not Canelo. Okay, the second fight, I really had that fight 8 rounds to 4. I thought Canelo, that's his best performance of his career. A lot of people think Triple G won that fight. I don't see it, including Teddy Atlas, you know what I mean? I'm not a hater. I call fights like I see it, you know what I mean? Even if I don't like a fight, and I'm not here saying that I don't like Canelo, I just don't like the fuck shit he does in boxing, you know what I mean? The catch weights, rehydration clause, all the rehydration clause really be killing me, man. I don't like how he fought Amir Khan. He almost killed that man. And Amir Khan was outboxing him for the first 5 rounds. And that's the truth about it. If Amir Khan didn't have a glass jaw and was actually a weight class, Amir Khan said Slim, Canelo came in at 180 pounds in that fight. Okay? We want to see the man Canelo fight Demetrius Bubu Andrade. I want to see that fight more than Jamal Charlo. You know what I mean? Zurdo Ramirez, another Mexican fighter. Look at that type of fight. Imagine if Canelo said, I'm going to fight David Benavidez or Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez in Azteca Stadium over there in Mexico City, or that big-ass stadium they have over there on the borderline of USA and Mexico in Tijuana. I forgot the name of that stadium, you know what I mean? Imagine that. Man, you don't see Julio Cesar Chavez, man. I seen him fuck up. What's that white boy's name from Seattle, Washington? Greg Haugen. What a fight. What an event. We don't see stuff like that no more. That's why we need Don King back in boxing, you know what I mean? That was a great homecoming fight for the man Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. in Azteca Stadium. Canelo don't even want to fight no Mexican fighters. His excuse is, I don't want to ruin these guys' opportunity of becoming a star. Exactly. You don't want to ruin the opportunity of becoming a star by beating you. Because if Zurdo Ramirez or David Benavidez beats the man Canelo, instantly they're the man, straight up and down. That's just how it goes in boxing, you know what I mean? Those are the kind of guys we want to see the man fight, you know what I mean? And even especially Dmitry Bivol, you know what I'm saying? Let me read some more quotes from the man Teddy Atlas. He says, quote, I want to see him if he really wants to put a stamp on the greatest, where everyone gets carried away with that because there were too many great Mexican fighters. But if Canelo want to get to, if Canelo want to get to that and even think about that, go fight Arthur Beterbiev and go fight Dmitry Bivol. He already went up to light heavyweight, so don't say you can't go up to light heavyweight because you did already. You picked Sergey Kovalev. For the kind of money Canelo's offering, I guarantee you he can get these guys, Bivol and Beterbiev, a couple of pounds under 175. Yeah, excuse me. Excuse me, I had to sneeze. Sorry about that. Because they, Beterbiev and Bivol, could never get that kind of money to fight Canelo anywhere else, 100%. I think those two fights, Bivol and or Beterbiev, are the only two real challenges. Yes, he could fight Charlo and Benavidez, but I think we'd agree that he'd be a massive favorite against both of them, I think. But against Beterbiev and Bivol, that's, to me, is a sincere challenge. End quote. Those are actually quotes from the other guy that the man Teddy Atlas be doing a podcast with. He's basically insinuating he'd rather see Canelo go up to 175 to fight Bivol and or Beterbiev. You know what I mean? Rather than fight, because he says that Canelo will be an overwhelming favorite against against Jamal Charlo and David Benavidez. Okay, more quotes from Teddy Atlas. Quote, I agree, and that's why I said it. Congratulations to Canelo. It wasn't a bad fight, but watching it from my perspective, from my seat, I just knew the high tide was coming. It was 10-1 favorite for Canelo to win. That's a little bit off a tip. I'll throw in another name before you go to these other opponents for Canelo to fight you've been doing with Canelo. I'll take Joe Smith. I know he's not the most sophisticated and developed guy in certain areas, polished or whatever you want to call it, but he's got such a big heart, and he's physically big and strong. He can match Canelo's strength, his physical strength, which is important, and he's a physical tough, and he can punch. And no one deserves a payday more than Joe Smith Jr. So I would throw his name to where if you bring him as an opponent for Canelo, you have me You have me. Unless it's the guys I mentioned, Better Beef, Joe Smith Jr., Better Benavidez, or Bevo. I don't want to hear it no more. You insulted my intelligence, and it makes me angry. I'm tired of it. End quote. Ooh, Teddy Atlas is heated, man. But it's the real fact of the matter, man. He wants to see Canelo fight better fighters. Real boxing fans want to see the man Canelo fight better fighters. Canelo fanboys would love for him to cherry pick, just so they man could stay with that one loss on his record. And it's crazy, right? The man Canelo lost to Floyd Mayweather. As far as me watching boxing, whether it's on YouTube and or in the streets when I talk with fellas on the streets or guys that I know, we do talk boxing. The Hispanic fighters, they hate Floyd Mayweather's guts. Excuse me, the Hispanic fans, they hate Floyd Mayweather's guts, you know what I mean? You check it. And they try to compare the man Canelo to a Floyd Mayweather, which is ridiculous. How? You know, the man Floyd Mayweather fought way better fighters than the man. Just one fighter, Diego Corrales, beats everybody that the man Canelo has ever beat on his resume. You know what I mean? Pound for pound, if the man was if the man Diego Corrales was at 168, 154, he would beat these guys. I would pick Diego Corrales to beat Austin Trout. I'd pick him to beat all these guys, you know what I mean? One fight that we never got to see, and I did a video about it. Go check out my archives. And I know it's been a while since I've done one of these. Fights we didn't get to see was Canelo versus Paul Williams. That was a fight I couldn't wait to see. Unfortunately, the man Paul Williams didn't make the fight because he got into that motorcycle accident. All right, y'all, let me read some of these chats one time. Okay. Philip Cortez says, Canelo's a new Wilder. Thou shalt not speak ill against the name of your Oasis. Mike 104 says, I'm on BoxRec at work. The site isn't updated. Okay. Gustavo Galindo says, Bubu Andrade, horrible fighter. LMF, name me 3 top 1 elite fighters he deserved. That's that bullshit you guys be talking about, deserve. What the fuck did Avni Yildirim do to deserve the fight? Gustavo Galindo, y'all the kind of people I be talking about don't know shit about boxing. The type of people who come in my chat talking fuckery. What did Avni Yildirim do to deserve that fight? How did Matthew Hatton get the fight for a vacant title versus Canelo, a guy who was not even ranked in the top 10 at 147, but they pulled this guy up to fight for a vacant title at 150. Boy, please, Gustavo, I'm not going to read your shit if you talking nut-ass shit. I'm trying to tell you right now, boy. I be getting heated when I get to talk real boxing. I'm trying to talk with intelligent people. But fellas like here, they come to drain the conversation with ignorance. You know what I mean? Gustavo, don't do that, man. Come here and talk real boxing. You heard? Don't do that. Okay? Philip Cortez says, Canelo fans be like those chicks that date dudes with no car and job, I swear he's the best guy ever. Oh, man. Mike 104 says, Canelo really a free agent like that? He gonna juke up all of them. Yeah, he is. And you see Teddy Atlas I think Teddy Atlas is really pissed about the money that Canelo's making fighting these bum-ass fighters. That's what he's really about. It's a highway robbery, you know what I mean? Mike 104 says, Danny Jacobs versus Sergio Mora was a good scrap, before both of them broke their legs or some shit. That was a damn good fight. And that's when I knew Danny Jacobs, man. I remember Dimitri, what's the guy's name? Jesus Christ, what's that guy's name? The first guy to knock him out. I even forgot his name. He never even fought a fight after that, man. I think he did actually. 1 or 2 fights. He was supposed to fight Triple G. That's another video I did. Fights we didn't get to see. His name's not ringing a bell right now. But when Danny Jacobs was struggling with Sergio Mora, who was not even a big puncher, and the guy who came up from 154, I knew Danny Jacobs' time is limited, you know what I mean? I Only Talk Boxing says, Canelo haters can't live without mentioning Mayweather as their only go-to. Canelo can't cherry pick him. can't cherry pick and become undisputed at the same time. Well, he just did. He just did, and I'm not impressed. But I give him 100% credit, except for the Avni Yildirim fight. That was bullshit. Caleb Smith, Billy Joe Saunders, and Caleb Plant were real official title holders. No bacon strap, nothing. You know, they held their titles for a while, and ironically, all three of them are Caucasian. And you know, like I know, look, man, this is just boxing. And here in USA, and I'm actually not in USA, I'm in Dubai right now. I'm about to catch a flight back to Washington, D.C. In the United States, the best fighters are the African-American fighters and the Mexican fighters. That's just what it is. And ironically, those are two race of fighters that Canelo is avoiding like the plague. No Hispanic, no Mexican fighters on my ledger, and no black fighters on my ledger. Do not be surprised if man like, what's that guy's name? The guy just fought this week and got a vicious knockout. Anthony the Dog Durrell gets that opportunity to fight Canelo before David Benavidez. You know what I mean? Okay. I Only Talk Boxing says, Boxing Wave made a good video comparing Ward's career to Canelo, and even though he thinks Ward beats Canelo has a better resume and career. I don't know about that. I don't know if fellas like Canelo can beat a Carl Froch, and I'm being dead serious. You know what I mean? I don't know if he can beat fellas like, who else did Ward beat? He beat Arthur Abraham. Now that he possibly could beat Arthur Abraham. You know what I mean? You know, but I don't think, and Mikhail Kessler, that's how Ward got them straps in the Super 6. You know what I mean? Well, you know, Andre Ward did leave boxing. He left out like a bitch. I ain't like how he retired out of boxing and didn't fight Adonis Stevenson for undisputed. A long, rangy fighter, a southpaw in Adonis Stevenson, who was possibly the best knockout artist in boxing at the time. It was him and Wilder. Adonis Stevenson and Wilder were the best KO punchers, like putting fellas to sleep night. And Adonis Stevenson does it from range. And I'm going to keep it tall with y'all. Ward had been ducking Adonis Stevenson since 2013. So I really hate how he retired and got up out the game with 3 straps, beating Sergey Kovalev, a man who had ducked Adonis Stevenson twice. You know? So, fellas, we got to put things in context. And I'm going to go back and watch Boxing Wave video. I'm going to go check that out. I haven't watched one of his videos in quite a long time, you know what I mean? And I have my reasons why I haven't. I'm not going to disclose them over here because that's neither here nor there. But I'm going to go check out that video. That sounds like something I'd be interested in listening to. Real talk. Mike 104 says Peter Quillen. What about Peter Quillen? I Only Talk Boxing says, I can't agree with you because race has nothing to do with skills. Most of the division in boxing are not black fighters. I'm not sure what you're talking about. How many black fighters has the man Canelo ducked? From Jamal Charlo to Bubu Andrade. You know what I mean? He ain't trying to fight these guys. He's fighting these Caucasian fighters from Europe who can't stand a chance. You ain't just hear the quotes I read from Teddy Atlas. 10-1 favorites ain't gonna cut it. Nobody wants to see that anymore. How many Caucasian American fighters do we have in boxing who are champions? Only 2. And now we have only 1, and that's Joe Smith Jr. And I believe that Canelo beats a Joe Smith Jr. But Teddy Atlas does have a point. He's a strong dude with power. Yeah, I mean, come on, man. Come on. I Only Talk Boxing, man. Who holds the most titles in North America? It's black and Hispanic fighters. What you talking about? I'm not a Hispanic fighter. Let me take that back. Blacks and Mexican fighters. They the ones who hold the most titles in North American boxing, and they have the most titles more than any other countries in the world. You know what I mean? Mike 104 says, Spence versus Crawford looking like the new Kovalev versus Stevenson. Yeah. But we'll see. We just have to hope and pray that, you know, that fight can still materialize. You know what I mean? Because Errol Spence, his stock is dropping It's been dropping ever since that car accident, and that's just the truth about it. He even missed out on a big fight versus Manny Pacquiao. Ugas got that glory of beating Pacquiao and Pacquiao's way out. I only talk boxing says heavyweight, light heavyweight, super middle, 140, and most champions are not black. Yeah, but Bud Crawford, Spencer, let me see, which other fighters? Devin Haney. There's a lot of black fighters out there. Cool Boy Steph. You know what I mean? If you really want to go there, I only talk boxing, I might have to make a video and show. I haven't done that in a while, but I used to do that periodically and show where the most world champions are and from which country. You know what I mean? And I haven't done one in a while. But last time I did one, man, America was smoking the rest of the world, and they always have been. And at the time, there were times there wasn't even no Caucasian American with a title, with a world title. You know what I mean? In the last, 10 years, we haven't had that many Caucasian American champions. Besides a Chris Algieri, Caleb Plant, and Joe Smith Jr., I can't even think of no others. You know what I mean? So if any Americans do whole world titles, best believe they're African American. And not now. That's just how it's always been. I only talk boxing says my point being that most of the dominant champions are not black, and I'm not talking about current champions, not back then. And and I'm talking about current champions, not back when. All right, I might have to go ahead and look that up right quick. Hold tight. Let me see what the world looking like as far as world champions and where they coming from. I don't even know who you would consider a dominant champion, to be honest. You know what I mean? We're talking about just fellas who have world titles. You know what I'm saying? Dominant, I don't know. Okay. So at heavyweight, we have two Caucasians who hold the straps from Europe. And if you know anything about B. Marsh Boxing Channel, I've been said it. The best heavyweights on the planet lately, since the Klitschko era, have been coming from Europe. You know what I mean? Wilder was an exception, and Wilder losing that strap, it's going to be a long time since an American gets a heavyweight strap. You know what I'm saying? Okay. At cruiserweight, we have Ilunga Makabu as a WBC strap. He's from the Congo. The WBA champion, some guy I never heard of. I'm not even going to read his name. The IBF champion is Marius Briedis. He's from Latvia. Lawrence Okoli's the WBO. He has, the WBO cruiserweight. At light heavyweight, we have Arthur Beterbiev from Russia, WBC, WBA, Dmitry Bivol from Russia, Arthur Beterbiev, IBF from Russia, Joe Smith Jr. from USA. Super middleweight, Canoli holds them all. Okay, middleweight, we have Jamel Charlo, has a WBC, Ryota Murata, I didn't even know I guess he got elevated to the WB. I guess he's a WBA champion. I didn't even know that. Gennady Golovkin is the IBF, and Bubu Andrade is the WBO. So that's two African Americans who hold the strap so far. Super welterweight, Jamel Charlo holds 3 straps. WBC, WBA, and IBF. And I really thought he lost that fight to Brian Costano. I was really pissed at that decision. I think it's fucked up how they did Brian Costano. I thought he won that fight. He should be undisputed. And Jamel Charlo looks like he has no incentive of running that shit back. You know what I mean? Okay? So that's what? That's a brother holding 3 straps, okay? Even though he doesn't deserve them. But on paper, he has 3 straps. At welterweight, you have Errol Spence, WBC, Ugas, WBA, Spence, IBF, and Bud Crawford at WBO. Look, man, I don't know what you're talking about, my guy, but you see where we're going with this. Super lightweight, that's 140. Josh Taylor has them all. At 135 pounds lightweight, Teofimo Lopez has 3 straps, WBO, IBF, and WBA. Devin Haney has a WBC strap. You know what I mean? At super featherweight, Shakur Stevenson's the WBO champ. I believe the title is vacant at IBF. WBA is a guy called Roger Gutierrez. Who the hell is that? Oscar Valdez, WBC, he should have lost that fight or at least had a draw versus Robinson Casella. Featherweight, you have, look at this fucker. Leo Santa Cruz is still a champion at featherweight. Are you serious? Well, Gary Russell's the WBO champ. Kid Galahad, IBF. Navarrete is the WBO. Super bantamweight, you have Cool Boy Steph with the WBO. MJ Akhmadaliev has the IBF and WBA. I like that guy. He's a good fighter. I want to see him also in a unification sooner than later. WBC's Brandon Figueroa, good fighter. Nonito Donaire, he's a bitch. He's been ducking a lot of fighters, but he has a WBC strap. Naoya Inoue has 2 IBF, WBA. Casimero has a WB. Now, when it comes to these lower weights, below 118, you know, like I know, black fighters or American fighters, they don't come that small. We're going to have to leave that to fellas from Mexico, Thailand, these type of places, Japan. You know what I mean? I don't think I even need to go any further. You check it. You ain't going to find no African-American fighters anywhere below 118. So I just named a lot of fighters, you know what I mean? You check it, and I'm pretty sure America, I'd have to do a tally up. America probably has more world champions than any other country. You know what I mean? I'd have to do a separate video about that. You know what I mean? Where we at in the chat? I Only Talk Boxing says, I'm trying to say that race doesn't matter. You can only give credit to fighters for what. I never said race matters. But what I do know is Canelo don't want to fight no black fighters and or his Mexican fighters, and that's a fact. I Only Talk Boxing says we can disagree, but I respect your perspective on these fighters. What I was also saying, as most champions in current boxing are not African American, but are fighters all around the world. Now, if you had said that, I wouldn't disagree with you one bit. You know, because there's like 18 divisions or something. You know what I mean? And like I said, them black fighters, they don't go as low as 118. Cool Boy Steph from Philadelphia is the last one. You check it. I Am Supreme says, can't co-sign this. Y'all tripping. Sure. But yes, indeed, man. You know, Teddy Atlas, amongst many, want to see Canelo fight the aforementioned fighters I was talking about, the Bubu Andrades, David Benavidez. You know what I mean? Just a lot of fighters who are not overwhelming underdogs. Teddy Atlas is mad probably about all the money Canelo's making, but hey, you know, if people keep praising the man for fighting these bum-ass fighters, that's what he's going to continue doing, you know what I mean? You check it. Mike 104 says, Teddy Atlas needs these hot takes to stay relevant. I don't even watch his podcast no more. I don't. I'm getting these quotes from an article. I don't watch his podcast no more. You know, them fellas, Teddy Atlas, mostly because, you know, them fellas look like he's mad at boxing or something for some reason. Maybe it's because ESPN asked him, they, as far as let him go, and they have like a whole new team, whether it's the Andre Wards. I'd love to see Andre Ward, Tim Bradley, and Teddy Atlas. You know, the Mark Kriegel guy, look, I know he's a journalist, you know what I mean? I'm not knocking his profession or anything he does. I'm not saying he's not a hard worker. But America would love to see Teddy Atlas in that position over Mark Kriegel. But when I say he looks like he's mad at boxing, man, I follow him on Twitter. And them fellas be tugging on UFC's nuts, man. It's ridiculous, man. I know his man's from Boston. His partner that he does the podcast with is a UFC fan, so he probably put him on. You know what I mean? But Teddy Atlas, man, look, I don't watch UFC, but he makes it look like UFC is better than boxing. And it's just distasteful in my opinion, you know what I mean? He's a guy who came from boxing. We know him from boxing, from Customado days. You check it as a great trainer, you know what I mean? Had even a heavyweight champion in Michael Mora, you know? But at the end of the day, I do agree with him as far as this cannoli shit. I'll tell y'all that. I only talk boxing says I don't consider Plant, Billy Joe Saunders, or Callum as bums. I gotta stop right there. Billy Joe Saunders was a cold bum. Don't do that, Mo. Don't do that, Slim. He was a cold bum. You know what I mean? They were champions, and in Callum's case was the Super 6 winner and the ring champion at the weight. You have to give credit, you know. Hey, look, man, I ain't say nothing about Callum Smith, but Billy Joe Saunders is a bum. No doubt about it. Cold bum. Callum Smith fought like a pussy in that fight, too. He's a bum, too, the way he fought. He came for a payday. You know what I mean? Who had he beat, really, in that tournament? I don't even remember. George Groves? George Groves, don't forget, came into that fight with an injury. You know, so, come on, man. These guys are not who we want to see Cannoli fight. If you want to talk about just making fights because fellas have belts, that's not what I'm on. We want to see the best fight the best, with a strap or without a strap. You know what I mean? You don't have to sell me that a fight is a world title fight to say that so-and-so's fighting the best. No, because there's much better fighters than the Callum Smiths, Caleb Plants, and Rocky Feldings, and the Billy Joe Saunders. You know what I mean? Really and truly. Mike 104 says, who in boxing keeps it 1,000? I feel like boxing is missing a Pete Rose type dude to call it like it is. Well, it ain't gonna be them fellas from the zone. Them two brothers from Brooklyn, I don't even know their names. They cannoli nut huggers, and that's because of the zone. You know, I don't watch them. Man, the only people gonna keep it real is fellas who have a YouTube channel. And that's not all of them. Don't get it twisted. Me, I have no agenda. Look, I don't even monetize my YouTube boxing shit. I don't need the money. I'm straight. I don't do this. I do this for the love of it. Not no agenda, no nothing. You know what I mean? I don't even have a favorite fighter in boxing. You check it? But my number one pound-for-pound fighter is Bud Crawford. Simply if Bud Crawford fought Cannoli in the ring, he'd beat the shit out of him. If you don't know that, I'm sorry that you don't know your boxing. He beat the shit out of him. If Alexander Usyk fought Cannoli in the ring today at the same weight, he'd take that man to school. He'd take him to school. He'd make him look like I'm trying to think. You remember when Billy Joe Saunders fought David Lemieux? And David Lemieux was a nobody. Don't ever get it twisted. That was the best name on Triple G's resume up until he fought Cannoli. You remember when Billy Joe Saunders made that man look like a fool? That's how Usyk would make Cannoli. Now, he'd probably stop Cannoli straight up and down with a body shot. That's just what it is, you know what I mean? Cannoli has his flaws, hence why he picks these type of fighters that he fights against lately since 2018. I mean, the man turned down $40 million to fight Bubu Andrade. That should say everything about it. If you don't understand that aspect of ducking, I can't do nothing for you, man, like Flavor Flav says. I only talk boxer says no one is on Cannoli's level. That's why they look like bums. Yeah, because he's fighting flawed fighters who are not great. Yeah, I mean, there's much better fighters out there, from David Benavidez and Bubu Andrade to fight. The only way for Canelo to get more competition is to keep moving up. Haters will want him to go to heavyweight just to see him lose. I don't know who you're talking about. I never mentioned nothing about that. I don't even listen to no boxing channel that it would even suggest that. So that's something you probably pulled out from, I don't know, whomever you listen to. I'm not a hater. I'm just a fan of boxing, and I want to see the best fight the best in competitive fights. You check it? Nobody. Who wants to see him fight at heavyweight? Come on, man. He think he can beat anybody even at cruiserweight or heavyweight? If he had to beat any of these fighters at cruiserweight, he'd probably have to do a catchweight, which he's notorious for, a catchweight and a rehydration clause. You know what I mean? How comes you don't mention that? I only talk boxing, the catch weights and rehydration clause and the PED use. You ain't gonna come here caping for the man Canelo like that man is levels above fighters. If he's level above fighters, why does he seek all these advantages to beat fighters? You know what I mean? Come on now. Come on, dogs. We talking boxing here, man, and your name is I Only Talk Boxing, but you're making it look like people are hating on the man Canelo, like he's beating guys that are not on his level because he's great. Great how? Great how? Them fellas not great. He's not a great fighter. You know? It's like Kevin Durant in the NBA. Kevin Durant from our area too. You know what I mean? He's from PG County, Maryland. You know what I'm saying? You check it, he's from Seat Pleasant, Maryland, right there on the borderline of Washington, D.C. I don't even know how great Kevin Durant is because of the fuck shit he does in boxing. I said boxing and basketball. And that's how I look at sports. You know what I mean? Man, I might get me a McDonald's, y'all. I ain't had no Mickey D's. I'm going to go get me a fish sandwich. That man right there got himself a tray of Mickey D's. I haven't had no fish sandwich with French fries. I'm going to go see what I might do that right now while y'all with me. Let me walk and go see where the Mickey D's is at. I got I got way more than $50. I got a $50 bill in my pocket though. And I'm about to go see what this Mickey D's hitting for. You know what I mean? I didn't really... I caught my flight... I caught my flight today, and I had a bad night last night, you know what I mean? I went to this vicious, what you call it, Italian restaurant last night, and I got stuffed, man. I think I might have ate too much, but so I had a bad night last night, you know what I mean? As far as I didn't feel good after eating all that pasta and salmon and the mixed vegetables. You know what I mean? Because I'm lactose intolerant. You check it, and that was the only option they had besides the vegetables and the salmon and tilapia. With the pasta was awesome. So I was really sick today, getting ready to catch this flight. You know what I mean? You check it, so. I didn't really eat like that on the plane. I didn't. I had a lot of ginger ale. I had some fruits. I had a little meal, which I really didn't finish because I wasn't enjoying it. But I think I'm good now. Let me go here and see what Mickey D's in Dubai hitting for. You know what I'm saying? They might have a whole different kind of menu too. You know what I mean? Let me see if they're going to take a US $50 bill. Give me a fish sandwich with some French fries. You check it, no cheese. Light on the tartar sauce. Yeah, man. Let me see where we at in the chat. Come on, I Only Talk Boxing. He says, Canelo did pop dirty, but has come clean since then. If you keep saying he was a cheat, then Whitaker, Roy Jones, Mosley, Holyfield, etc. all pop dirty too. So they're not great? Nah, those fighters are great. You know why? You know why Canelo's not great? Because he popped dirty twice. You know what I'm saying? And them fellas had no regrets about it. He was basically like, so, what y'all gonna do? I'm still gonna fight. He was very arrogant about it. You check it? You know what I mean? Pernell Whitaker, I ain't never known him to pop dirty for steroids. Don't do that. Don't put no shame on my man, Sweet Pea's name. If you want to say for cocaine, sure. Cocaine ain't even going to help you get as a fighter. Look at this menu, y'all. Macarabia chicken. It's different. 25 AAD. Let me see how much. Let me do the math right quick and see how much 25 Dubai dirhams comes into U.S. money. Give me 1 sec. Hey, my man Sweepy never even fought under cocaine. He got suspended. Don't do no revisionist history over here, my dude. He ain't fight under no cocaine. He got suspended because they found cocaine in his system and he ain't fight. Okay, 25 divided by 3.67. Jesus Christ. Okay, no, it's not too bad. $6.81. I think I could phase that. Because in the States these days, a motherfucking fish sandwich, damn, I probably got to order this shit on my own. I'm going to order here. I'm going to tell him I want my shit special. No, I don't have to do nothing. I only talk boxing. I don't have to. I'm going to flame up Canelo for taking steroids. He got caught twice. I don't believe in that shit. Look, when Roy Jones popped dirty, don't you know that the Jamaican dude he fought was also on steroids? So that's an even Steven, you know what I mean? And I'm not a great Roy Jones fan. I'm not. He's a great fighter, and he beat the shit out of Canelo at 168. Yeah, he will. Right. You don't like to hear that, but he will. Tico says, since GGG, Canelo hadn't had a fight that the people wanted to see. Canelo could have had undisputed before, but he didn't want to fight Andrade. Thanks for speaking the truth, Tico. Mike 104 says, it's not so much the PEDs the problem. It's the protection Canelo got from the boxing political machine that made it worse. All athletes in sports use PEDs. Let's keep it real. No, I don't know that. I only know the ones that get caught. I do. I hope these fellas don't give me back change in Dubai money. I want my shit back in US dollars. This lady just gave this guy a $20 bill. Let's see if they're gonna give him change in American money. Let me see. I don't want no UAE dirham. I want USA dollars. Mike 104 says, I know dudes in my college that hit PEDs. It's a problem at all levels of sports. Did they get? Man, they ain't giving back no change in American money. Hey, how you doing? I would like to get a fish sandwich, but I got a $50 bill.
You need to change the duty-free money exchange.
I gotta change it where?
Yeah, duty-free money exchange.
Where's that? On the left?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me look. God damn it. I gotta change my money. It might not even be worth it, to be honest. Duty free. I guess it's one of these joints right here. It's a process, man. I'm just trying to get me. All right, damn it, man. I'm gonna have to walk around for some motherfucking. It is what it is. I'm kind of tired. I got a lot of shit on me, man. Got 2 big ass bags. Cause I don't want to break, and I don't have no smaller bill. I got 50s and mad hundreds. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to pay $6 for a Mickey D's sandwich and get back the rest of the what is it, like $42, $44 back in this kind of money. I don't need no more Durham money. All right. So yeah, man, thanks for keeping me company while I'm waiting for my connecting flight to Washington, D.C. I'm here in Dubai. I was in Dubai, I don't know, like 3 weeks ago, and I actually left the airport and visited the city. And I had a good time. Let me ask this lady. Hey, how you doing, man? Where can I change this or get
Currency exchange.
currency exchange?
That one in the middle.
I just came from there.
What they said.
They said it's somewhere down here.
That one currency exchange. Currency exchange. In the middle.
In the middle?
Yeah, this one here. Just go straight there in the middle.
Oh, right there in the middle, the blue one. Okay, thank you. I see it. The woman said it's a minute away. That just was like 10 seconds away from her. Sorry, I'm kind of distracted also reading the chat and shit. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. I was in Dubai like 3 weeks ago. I came for a little short trip, you know what I mean? And I had a good time. Got to see the city, ride the train. It was pretty. You can check out my videos. I was at the Dubai Gold Souk, man. I went crazy out there, y'all. I was crazy, man. Okay, let me talk to this lady. Hey, how you doing? I want to get Can I get
Dirhams.
$40 back?
How much?
$40 and the rest in
So $10.
$10. No, I want to get. You give me $40 back.
Yes, sir.
And then
$40 back. $10 to Dubai money.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Mm-hmm.
$36.
Can I actually get 25 dirhams? And then the rest in US dollars? Put my bag properly. Tico says, great videos, Dimash. Always watch. Okay? So this is 25.
$43.
Okay, doke. Thank you very much.
Your receipt here?
Oh, I get a receipt.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. All right. We'll go spend some money with Ronald McDonald. Tico says, great video, always watch. B. Marsh always speaks the truth, facts. Thank you, man. Salute. I appreciate that. I don't even lie to a bitch to get some pussy. What I look like lying to fellas on this YouTube shit about boxing, a sport that I love. You know what I mean? But yo, I was giving y'all an example earlier about fellas like Kevin Durant. Now, we was happy as hell Kevin Durant came from out of my area. You know, actually, one of my sister's good friends, a girl she went to high school with, they played on the basketball team. She used to date the man Kevin Durant. He went to a high school called Montrose. We really don't know how great fellas like Kevin Durant is. We don't know how great he is because he has not tested himself. Skills, of course, he shows he has the skills to pay the bills. But at the end of the day, how great are you? He hasn't faced adversity to win any of those titles. And that's what we're talking about, y'all. You know what I mean? Fellas going through the gauntlet to get to the top. Kevin Durant has been to the top twice. But look how he's very insecure about them 2 titles he's got. He's obviously not happy. You know what I mean? He's obviously not happy about them 2 straps. 2 titles he got, because people don't rate him as far as like how Hakeem Olajuwon got his 2 world titles. You check it? So that's just what we talking about, you know what I mean? Yeah, fellas might hold trinkets, world championships, world titles, etc. People consider them the great fighters or great ball players. But who'd you beat to really become, to say that you're a great player or a great fighter, you know what I mean? And that's how I feel about Canelo. You know, fellas like Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather. Man, these guys had great careers, man. These fellas fought any and everybody, you know what I mean? You check it? You know what I mean? So, at the end of the day, we just got to keep it real, keep it tall, and really not just look at fighters for the trinkets they have. You know what I mean? Who they really beat. You know what I mean? You check it. Tico says, what you think of Tio getting on stage with Canelo trying to get people to think he's undisputed? He's been a clown ever since he beat Loma. Hence why he has not fought in like a year with all them 3 straps. Can't get his shit right. His stock has dropped like a MF, you know what I mean? It has. His stock has dropped, and he's not a great fighter until he beats a Devin Haney to become undisputed. Okay, let me see what this joint hitting for. Hi. So I would like to get what is it? The fish fillet sandwich, but with no cheese.
310. 310.
These guys are not paying attention to me. What the hell? You heard? Let me get the number 11.
Number 11.
No cheese.
No cheese.
Can I add? Does it come with lettuce and tomatoes?
No, sir.
Can I add that?
Yes, sir.
Let me get lettuce, tomatoes, and silver onions.
Yeah. Then,
And that's it.
here, take away.
It comes. Is that a meal?
Yes, sir.
Fries and a drink?
Cola.
Okay.
39.
Well, I have 25 here. How much do I give you in U.S. dollars to make that?
Only $1.
Oh, $1. Great. Excellent. I have $1. Thank you, sir. I pick it up there? Okay, man. Have a good night. Yep. Yeah, man. Let me see what this Mickey D's in the Arab world hitting for. You know what I mean?
3111. Okay.
This is kind of Durham,
Nasaan na yun?
Dubai money.
I told you come here.
I don't know if y'all can see it. Let me wipe my. I have a few of them. I should have showed y'all what the $25 joint, for 25 dirham. I just spent what it looked like. Yeah, man. So we want to see fellas fight the best, and that's why I rate Alexander Usyk, y'all. I really love that guy because I've been watching him since the Olympics, you know. I've seen him in the Olympics. I've seen him win a gold medal. I've seen him in the AIBA tournaments, for the Boxing World Series. And I've seen him become undisputed at cruiserweight, become the first fighter,
Can I get some tissue, please?
to even quicker fighter to become a world champion than at cruiserweight than a great fighter like Holyfield. And look, and this dude, I only talk boxing. I never seen Holyfield get caught for no steroids. You know, you try to bring up these guys, great fighters, Mosley. Well, Mosley to me is a drug cheat, and you know, he's a good fighter, but I never rated him as. I never even mentioned him. You know, he's a good fighter, but he has his flaws. He's been in great fights. I was rooting for him to beat De La Hoya in the second fight. I thought De La Hoya won that fight. You know, like my man Mike 104 was talking about. Remember? Yes, sir. 313. Where do I get ketchup? Yeah, barbecue sauce as well. Thank you, sir. All right, let me see what this Mickey D's in the Arab world hitting for. You know what I mean? I don't need nothing else at Mickey D's but the fish fillet. I was telling y'all, fellas like Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley said he used to eat 2 fish fillets. I gotta sanitize my hands. He used to eat 2 fish fillets and a Diet Coke when he played basketball before every ball game. You know what I mean? I don't think I'll be eating no fish fillets. Hi, is this the sanitizer?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. I ain't gonna be eating no fish fillet. before I play ball, you know what I mean? I keep it tall with y'all. When I used to play in leagues, basketball leagues, I used to fry niggas. That's my word. Yeah, I used to always be the leading scorer, and I'm a small dude. I'm like 5'7". But when you're 5'7" with a deadly jump shot like mine, and I'm a killer. You know, I used to watch Allen Iverson before I played games. Fellas used to be afraid of me. I'm gonna just keep it tall with y'all. When I used to play in them games, I used to have a school face. I didn't have a headband. I can't play the headband. You know, I used to always have cornrows. I ain't put my hair in cornrows in a while. You know what I mean? But what you call it? I used to have that Iverson killer mentality. You know what I mean? And I'd come in there dropping 20. I used to average like 27 per game. You check it. But I used to eat stuff like pasta. I'd have some pasta before a game, get my carbs on. These guys ain't even asked me what kind of drink I wanted. They gave me a motherfucking Coke, but it is what it is. I'm cool. You know, so I used to eat carbs, get some energy, so I could fry fellas in them rec leagues. You know what I'm saying? So yo, be much, man. I'm probably about to cut this video off, man. Y'all don't want to hear me. Y'all don't want to hear me smacking on my food and shit. You know what I mean? You know, you don't want to hear me smacking on my food on this, what you call it? On this fish sandwich. You know what I mean? But yo, I appreciate everybody who came through. Salute to all y'all. B March Boxing. I'm doing a live stream here in Dubai at the airport before I catch my flight back to DC, and this is gonna be a long ass stretch. That's why I'm eating this Mickey D's. 13 hours, y'all. 13 hours. What I'm gonna do to kill time is I'm gonna sleep. I got a couple novels I'm reading, and I mean, one novel I'll show y'all. I have two novels I'm reading. I'll show y'all right quick before I slide off. You know, I'm an old school guy. I still read books. You know what I mean? I still read books for entertainment. I got this book called Wised Up, A Mobster's Gritty True Story of Murder and Revenge on the Streets by Charlie Wilhelm. Got from Baltimore, Maryland. And then this is the one I'm currently reading right here. The Evil Empire. 101 Ways That England Ruined the World. You know what I mean? Great book. Learned a lot of shit. Pagan society, man. England's a wicked country, boy. Wicked country. You know what I mean? USA's a wicked country too. Hence why they both have the red, blue, and white flag. But boy, these countries is a definition of Babylon and pagan societies, and it's a great book. If y'all ever gonna find this book by Stephen A. Gracie, do yourself a favor and read that joint, you heard? All right, y'all. B March Boxing by the sign off. I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm gone. One.